and I'm going to show the screen. There we go, we're all sorted. So obviously I'm Matt, I'm the ugly one in the middle, the crooked nose. I work for the CV and Interview Advisors. Obviously tonight is courtesy of the good guys over at the Chartered Institute of Legal Execs. This is all about LinkedIn tonight. As I said to you previously, this is the first time we've done this. So do bear with me. It's also a new webinar system we've got. If anybody was on my CV writing webinar a while back, we were using WizIQ at the time. Now we've moved over to GoToWebinar, which is a better platform. I'm just kind of getting the hang of presenting through it, so hopefully all will be well. So we are showing the slides, so let's move on to slide number 1. Now, of course, there's going to be plenty of people on who did watch the CV writing presentation, but some who didn't. So those who didn't won't have any idea who I am or who we are. So I'm just going to quickly tell you. So we're the CV and Interview Advisors. This is my business. I set this up in 2006, and I have about 14 guys work for me. We are considered to be the UK's highest quality provider of what we describe as career enhancement services. So that's everything from CV writing, interview coaching, LinkedIn, the works. Okay. We got a team of really quite senior people here, career consultants, senior execs, people from recruitment backgrounds, quite a lot of people from senior roles in industry. So we're not just a bunch of rookies with a couple of months worth of work experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we have got a few grey hairs and whiskers over here, and we've been around a bit, and we know our stuff. And we work very closely with CILEx to tailor these webinars to you guys. There's obviously a demand for what we're doing tonight, so we've kind of put this on specifically for you guys. I've sat here and spent pretty much the entire afternoon putting this together for you, so hopefully it'll be good stuff. If it's not, I'm sure you'll tell me. We do a lot of this kind of stuff, not just for CILEx, but lots of other organizations as well. So we do work with the Professional Contractors Group, the ACCA, done something recently for the Royal College of Physicians, the International Association of Bookkeepers, did something the other day for CIPFA. The list goes on. So, I don't think we would do this kind of stuff for these kind of organizations if we didn't know our stuff. So there you go. That's all I'm going to say about us. Let's move on to the first main slide. So what is LinkedIn? Now, I guess a lot of you will know what LinkedIn is, but there'll be some of you who don't. So I'm just going to kind of cover off what LinkedIn is. The history of LinkedIn, I mean, LinkedIn kind of started off life as a kind of professional networking site, and it is still that. But it's not like Facebook. It's not like MySpace used to be. It's not for social stuff. It's for professional stuff. But because it's for professional stuff, it attracts professionals, of course. And it's a little bit like, I remember when I used to, when I started my career in sales about 20 years ago, I used to meet clients and suppliers and all that kind of stuff. And every time I'd meet someone new, they'd give me a business card, and I'd put that business card in a little leather binder that I'd got for Christmas, and I'd keep all my business cards in one place, and if ever I needed to contact someone, I'd get my business card folder out. LinkedIn really started off life as a bit of an online version of that, which is a great idea. And as people kind of got used to using it and it became more popular, of course, by default, it became one massive candidate database. So by default, it kind of became a big recruitment orientated site, and that's driven the success of LinkedIn. Now, it isn't just a recruitment site, of course. It is very much still a professional networking site, but I guarantee you this: if it wasn't if there wasn't the power of recruitment behind it, it probably wouldn't be as successful as it is today, because they make a hell of a lot of their revenue from the recruitment side of it. So that's a little bit of background on it. I think currently there are about 230 million members worldwide. So it's big. Lots of people use LinkedIn, and I'll kind of get to that in a minute, because it's not all about job seeking. And this is one of the kind of misconceptions people have. I always get asked by people, Matt, if I go on LinkedIn, are my current employers going to think I'm looking for a new job? Well, the answer is no. But however, I'm going to throw in there, so what if they do think you're looking for a new job? What's going to happen? They're not going to sack you. The bottom line is everybody's looking for a new job, aren't they? I run my own business. I'm quite happy. But if someone wanted to come along and offer me £500,000 a year to do something else, I'd seriously consider it. So one way or another, we're all job seekers, whether we're passive job seekers or active job seekers. Active job seekers are those people who are getting out there and actively applying for jobs. Passive job seekers are those people who might be tempted if the right role came along. So bottom line is we're all job seekers one way or another, whether we like it or not. And certainly when I've worked for organisations in the past, I've never been shy of my bosses being a little bit paranoid or insecure that I might be looking around for something else. Now, to be perfectly honest, I was always rated in the roles that I did, so maybe that casts a different perspective on it. Maybe my bosses didn't want me to move, but it was interesting to see whenever I would get involved in any kind of recruitment activity, or there might be a few headhunters ringing the office wanting to talk to me. That was when my bosses used to pull me aside and rehash my package or give me a pay rise or do something that might be looking after me. And if you're good at what you do and your employers value you, they'll look after you. They don't want you to leave. I'm an employer now. If some of my key staff left, it would be a right pain in the backside. I don't want them to leave. So if I got whiff of them perhaps looking for a new job, I'd be straight on that, thinking, right, I need to do something about this. I need to start looking after these people. My first thought wouldn't be, oh, you're looking for a new job. You're disloyal. I must sack you. So don't get too paranoid about it, guys. But certainly just because you're on LinkedIn is not an indicator that you're looking to leave. Because, and I'm going to go through a list of reasons now why people use LinkedIn. So the first group of people is job seekers. So these job seekers are going to seek out companies, they're going to seek out hiring managers, and they're going to seek out jobs. And that's what they use LinkedIn for. But also, most professionals use LinkedIn in some capacity. My marketing manager said to me the other day, she says, isn't it weird? Every time that I arrange a business meeting with someone now, I can see that they've checked out my LinkedIn profile, because LinkedIn tells you that. It tells you who's been checking you out. Unless the other person's got some settings there where they want to hide the fact that they've been looking at you. But most people don't know how to change that setting anyway. So it just says that so-and-so's been checking you out. I get a digest every week that says about 12 to 15 people have been checking me out on LinkedIn, and I know who these people are. And it doesn't freak me out. It doesn't worry me. It's quite flattering, really. They might be interested in our company or our services or me or something. It's a good thing. That's what networking is all about. So professionals use it to research their business contacts and find out about them. If you're meeting someone a week next Tuesday for a business meeting, you might want to get a bit of background on them. Nothing wrong with that at all. So professionals use it for that reason. Recruiters and hiring managers use it to source candidates. As I've just explained, it's one massive, huge, enormous candidate database. And the power of it is being able to search for people with certain skills. So recruiters and hiring managers use it for that reason. Most recruiters now have a premium LinkedIn account that allows them to do a lot more on LinkedIn than your basic account can. Entrepreneurs use it. Business owners use it to showcase their company and grow their business. I was involved in a business earlier on this year, and we were recruiting a salesperson. And I said, look, guys, we absolutely need a salesperson who knows how to harness the power of LinkedIn. I know a guy who does some stuff similar to us. He's a little bit more into the strategic side of using LinkedIn. But this guy made his company about £2 million before he became a freelancer, by harnessing the power of LinkedIn. So it's powerful stuff, and salespeople use it as well for the same reason. It's all about finding and contacting potential clients and decision makers. So there's lots of reasons to use LinkedIn. It doesn't mean you're a job seeker. Savvy professionals use it to research contacts and so on and so forth. So there's nothing wrong with having a LinkedIn profile. It doesn't automatically mean that you're looking for a job. All right, good stuff. So let's move on to some specifics. So I'm going to talk about job seeking now. How do you use LinkedIn to find a job? And by the way, guys, I haven't really set an agenda here. I should tell you that we're going to go through some general stuff, and then I'm going to talk about how you structure your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to tell you specifically how to write a LinkedIn profile effectively. All that's to come. But how do you use it as a job-seeking tool? Well, the first thing is it's got a job board. So you can search jobs. And a lot of people didn't know that about LinkedIn. In fact, I'm not sure how long ago it was that I found out that it actually had a job board. And it's a big job board. And lots of companies use it to advertise jobs. So you can search for jobs and apply for them. But the other great thing about LinkedIn is that if you see a job, that organization that's advertising that job, through the power of LinkedIn, you can see who is in your network that might work for that company. So I've got about 600 people in my network. Some people might only have 6. Some people might have somewhere in between. But the people in your network are the people that you've connected with. So a little bit like your friends on Facebook. LinkedIn's a bit different, but you connect with people. You say, a little bit like saying, hey, can I have your business card, and will you allow me to put it in my business card folder? They've connected with you. They've consented to being part of your network and for you to be part of theirs. And they are your first degree connections. And those are the people that you could interact freely with. So if there's someone in your network that works for a company that's advertising a job you're interested in, you might contact them and say, hey, because you can contact them because they're one of your first degree connections. You can say, hey, I never realized that your job, that you're advertising a job, and I'm really interested in it. You know, can you introduce me to the hiring manager? And there's all sorts of things. Then a whole chain of networking kind of starts to happen, and you can network your way into that job and not necessarily bypass the formal channels, but, you know, just applying for a job cold is never going to be as successful as networking your way into a job through the mechanism that I've just described. So LinkedIn allows you to find out, it tells you which of your first degree connections work for that company that's advertising that job. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you can search for companies. You know, so you guys might think, right, here's a list of 10 companies in my local area that I would like to, work for. Might be law firms, it might be organizations with legal departments. But you can make a list of these target companies, and again, you'll search using the search facility, but LinkedIn will tell you if there's anybody in your network that works there. Again, it leads to a networking opportunity, and you can network your way into a job. Also, if there isn't anybody in your network, it will tell you which people work at these organizations, and then you might want to connect with them. Or maybe they're one of your second degree connections. So what I mean by that is maybe you know John Smith. Okay, John Smith is connected with you. They're your first degree one of your first degree connections. But John, and again, you can see this through LinkedIn, it will show you your second degree connections. John might be connected to the partner at whichever firm you might want to work for. Now, you can't contact the partner directly, but what you can do is you can say, hey, John, you're in my network. I'd like to speak with the partner who's in your network. Can you introduce me? And you can do all this through LinkedIn. It's all very, very, very clever. And again, you can network your way into developing a business relationship with the partner who's obviously a decision maker, and there are ways to secure a job that way. So you can find decision makers and you can add them to your network through an introduction. actually what a lot of people do is they just bypass the kind of rules of LinkedIn and just send that person a connection request directly and sort of says that we've done business before, when actually you might not have done. And it's becoming fairly kind of common practice for people to do this. It's not what LinkedIn wants you to do. LinkedIn only wants you to connect with people that you know and have a relationship with, or have been introduced to by one of your first degree connections. But I've certainly, there's a guy in the US who is considered to be the leading guru in all things to do with LinkedIn. I just sent him a connection request and said, hey, we've done business because there's a drop-down menu. How do you know Jason Alba? Well, I don't know Jason Alba, and if I tick the box that says I don't know Jason Alba, it won't let me connect with him. But if I tick the box that says we've done business together, it will let me send a connection request. Me and Jason know our onions when it comes to LinkedIn. Jason looked me up, thought, hey, yeah, Matt knows his stuff as well. We can mutually have a good relationship here, so I'm not going to worry too much that we've kind of bypassed what LinkedIn really wants us to do, and we're going to connect. So it's up to you how you do it, but there are ways around it. But what LinkedIn wants you to do is to go through the right channels. But regardless of how you do it, it's all about connecting with people and developing a relationship with them. I think we've covered this. You can use your network to find other contacts and get introduced. And another thing you can do is you can participate in discussions. There's something called LinkedIn Answers, and there's also something called LinkedIn Groups. Lots of people interact in those areas, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later on. But you can participate in these discussions. You could join a group, for example, that's dedicated to a certain area of law, and there'll be all sorts of activity and discussions going on. You might contribute to those discussions, and maybe there's a partner at some law firm that thinks, oh, you know what, this person's knows their stuff. They're very positively contributing towards a certain discussion that particular individual is interested in. And they might think, you know what, we've got a job coming up and I really like the look of that person. So they might then go and check out your LinkedIn profile, and then who knows what's going to happen from there. It's all about networking. We've talked about that, groups where hiring managers might hang out. So that's kind of job seeking covered in a nutshell. That it's all about getting yourself out there. I don't know whether any of you guys are familiar with the Celestine prophecy. It's all about the Celestine monks. I always get confused because I like to be a bit silly when I'm at home with my friends and family. So I've kind of labelled them the sellotape monks. So whenever I talk about them, I have to remember that I'm not talking about the sellotape monks. I'm talking about the Celestine monks who brought to the world this Celestine prophecy. But it's all about the more people you meet and make a point of meeting, the more likely good opportunities are going to come your way. It's a little bit like when somebody you knew from school, you see them in the street, you haven't seen them for 20 years. What are you going to do? Are you going to go up to them and say, hi, remember me? We were at school together. Or are you going to cross the road and hide under your coat? Those people that cross the road and hide under their coat, which is probably what I'd do if I'm honest, they're less likely for opportunities to swing their way. But the person who actually goes, you know what, I'm going to go and talk to that person, who knows what happens? I know one of my friends did this and he wanted to move to the USA to be with a girl he'd met on a conference that he'd fallen madly in love with, and he was trying to get his visa, but it was taking ages. His relationship with this girl was suffering because it was long distance. And he met this person in the street who he hadn't seen for about 10 years, who he went to university with. And guess what? She was going out with somebody that worked in the embassy that was responsible for issuing visas. And he got talking to her. They went for a drink. This all came to light. And you know what? He got his visa. Fantastic, great story. And that's how the Celestine prophecy works. But it relates to LinkedIn. And I'm not trying to be philosophical here, but it relates to LinkedIn. The more people, and don't just go crazy connecting with the whole world. Just, if it's someone you genuinely don't think is going to be relevant to you, forget it. but connect with people you think might be able to help you and who are good additions to your network, and who knows what opportunities might come your way. And here's a fabulous statistic. More people found a job through LinkedIn in 2012 than they did Monster.com. Can you believe that? Monster.com is the biggest job board in the world. More people found a job through LinkedIn. Fantastic statistic. And it just goes to show how critical it is to have a presence on LinkedIn. All right, good stuff. So just before I move on, I'm just going to put the questions back up on screen. And I just want you all to tell me that you can all still hear me and that you haven't all gone to sleep on your keyboard or something like that. So are you all still out there, guys? Fabulous. All still there. I like it. Okay, good stuff. So let's move on to the next slide. And this is all about writing your profile now. So how do you write an effective LinkedIn profile? There's a few things you need to look out for. So the first line is the headline. Okay, so I'm going to flip between screens now. So that's the wrong screen. Just bear with me a second. Okay, here we go. So this is Suzanne's LinkedIn profile here. Suzanne is our office manager. Okay, and you can see I've started before today. Suzanne didn't have a LinkedIn profile, so I said, look, let me use it for tonight's webinar. So can you see here where it says office manager at the CV and interview advisors? This is what we call the professional headline, and this defaults to your current job title and your current employer. So with Suzanne, it says office manager at the CV and interview advisors. That's fine, but it's not terribly insightful. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here, we're going to edit it. What we're going to say is we want to tell the world she's an office manager, but what we're going to change this to is this. Just bear with me a second, just let me save this. Right, can you see that, guys? I've changed that to office manager, adept at managing business critical operational activities for SMEs. That's what we call a value proposition. If anybody attended my CV writing webinar, you'll know what I mean when I talk about the cheap red shoes theory, and you'll know what I mean when I talk about value propositions. We've done exactly the same thing in LinkedIn. We told the world what she is. We made it clear she's an office manager, but we've gone on to say what her value proposition is, or what the purpose of her professional existence is as an office manager. So that's a lot more powerful than just saying office manager at the CV and interview advisors. Okay, so that's the headline. So you need to change that. Don't use the default setting. All right? So the next thing, the summary. This is all about, and this is a little bit like the professional summary on your CV. It's a little bit of an elevator pitch. I talked to you guys previously about making sure your CV was written in the third person. LinkedIn's different. It's a bit more of an informal channel of communication. So I would recommend that you write this in the first person. But the summary is designed to tell people about you professionally. So let's have a look what we've written for Suzanne. Okay, so here's her summary here. So what we've said is, and I'll quote it word for word, I'm an experienced office manager. So line one, we tell the world what she is. And then we go on to say she's got broad experience across operational management, administration, marketing, event management, and customer services. So that's what I call a role summary. It's kind of in a nutshell, that's what I do. We then gone on to talk about her speciality. We talked about her forte being designing or transforming operational processes to allow companies to run more efficiently. subsequently overseeing all administrative and operational processes to allow senior management to focus on more strategic issues. And then we wanted to add in something else. We talked about her having experience of running her own business, which allows her to offer considerable commercial acumen to add real value to a business. Now, that might seem pretty straightforward, but a lot of thought went into that, and there's a definite formula there. The first thing you do is you say what you are. So you might talk about being a legal executive. The next thing you've got to do is kind of summarize your role. You know, what is your role? What is the purpose of your professional existence? So tell people that. Tell them what it is that you do, and then go on to talk about where you can add value and make the summary more of a sales tool. And it's a subtle sell, because you're not saying, hey guys, I'm looking for a job, come and get me. It's not like that. But what you're saying is, look, I'm the sort of person that can significantly add value to the people that I work for. So there's a very fine balance between kind of making it damn obvious you're looking for a job and sounding desperate, than a nicely constructed summary that tells the world what you are and where you might be able to add value to their organization. If you remember what we talked about with the CVs, we talked about the cheap red shoes theory, i.e. telling people what you are and being specific about that. We talked about then building in a value proposition. Then we talked about building in your 4 or 5 key value-added skills that you think your future employers are going to be most interested in, that might be aligned with the hot skills in your marketplace. Well, this is very similar to that, but you're not just regurgitating your CV. You're writing it in a different style and capturing the essence of your professional summary on your LinkedIn profile without regurgitating. So that's the summary. If you're a locum, an interim, a contractor, you probably want to mention that in this section, because you're okay to tell people you're looking for a new opportunity, because contractors are going to go from job to job to job, so that's fine. So you would add that in that scenario. Okay, good stuff. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation now. And the next section that I want to talk about is the position. So this is akin to your career history on your CV. So what we recommend you do here, on your CV, you're going to have a whole heap of bullet points. Again, for those of you that were on my CV writing webinar, you'll know that what we should start off with is a description of the employer. What you should then do is have a summary of your role. You would then have a series of other context building points, such as the structure of your team if you're a managerial person, what your KPIs are, what area you specialize in. Then you'd have your bullet points that sort of describe your duties and responsibilities, and then you would have some further bullet points describing your achievements. So that's how we structure it on the CV. In LinkedIn, we do something a bit different. We summarize the role. You don't have the duties and responsibilities bullet points, but you do have some achievements. So let's just go back. Wrong slide. There we go. Sorry, wrong slide's up on your screen at the moment. It will flash up to the right one in a second. There we go. Oh, no, it's still not up. Just bear with me, guys. We'll get back on track in a second. For some reason, when I'm clicking the slide I want to bring up, it's showing the wrong one. Bear with me, I will get there. There we go. Right, it's up on my screen. It'll be coming on your screen in a second. Apologies for that. Okay, so here we go. So we got the LinkedIn profile back up here. So this is the experience section, or what is essentially the career history section in LinkedIn. So we have one entry here on Suzanne's, and this entry here is her role with us. Okay, so it says office manager at the CV and Interview Advisors. She's been with us for 5 months between August 2013 and present. So that's all default. You just fill in the right fields and that comes up. But what we're then going to go on to do, I would recommend having in a little brief description about the CV and interview advisors first. I didn't pop that in because that bit's pretty straightforward, and I'm sure you can all figure that out on your own. But then you would have a description of the role. So this is a bit of an expanded out role summary. So what you're trying to do is to capture the role in one nice, short, sweet paragraph. So what we're saying here is that she was hired to provide administrative support on a part-time basis, and that she was subsequently promoted into a broader role to head up all administration, marketing support, event coordination, and customer services. We went on to say that her key deliverables focus on ensuring that all administration is accurate and up to date. It's about coordinating all administration around a busy events program and playing a key role in all marketing related activities, and she reports to me. So that's a kind of expanded out role summary. It's a very short, punchy paragraph, but really in that, it's telling everybody all they need. When people are exploring you on LinkedIn, they don't want chapter and verse. They don't want all the bullet points that you have on your CV. So one of my CV writers describes it as being a little bit like a précis of your role. So a summary of your role that in a nutshell explains what it's all about. Then you go on to talk about your achievements. Now we have some really cool ways. There's a little code you can put in that allows you to create bullet points. It's a little bit of a secret. But we know how to make these bullet points, which make it look a little bit neater. But we got these 3 achievements here. First one's about Suzanne introducing a new resource management process and how that's increased efficiencies by 15%, and so on and so forth. And what we've tried to do is to quantify the benefits that she's delivered to the business in the short space of time that she's been here. And to be frank, she's done a cracking job for us, and she's a great member of our team, and she does do a great job. And these little achievements here kind of prove that. So if a recruiter or a potential employer was reading her profile, they'd be thinking, you know what? She's not your typical 9-to-5er. She's not just doing her job. She's actually adding some real value. You guys, if you're more on the non-practicing legal side, if you're in a more sort of operational role, you can talk about similar things to this. If you are a practicing legal person, you might want to put some of your notable cases in here, but obviously making sure that there's no breach of confidentiality, because that would be not good, would it? So you can strategically use whatever information you think is going to entice a future employer to get excited about you. Okay, good stuff. So back to the PowerPoint slide. Okie dokie. The other great thing you can do is use a section called projects. Now these projects, it's very simple. I'll show you that. I'll go through this slide first, and then I'll go back to the PowerPoint. To the LinkedIn profile. But the project section, you can just add that. There's a little plus sign. There's a little bar when you're editing your profile on the right hand side. There's loads of stuff that you can add in. A lot of people don't see these things. They don't add them in. But you can add them in. You can add in certifications. You can add in languages. You can add in projects. Loads of stuff you can add in. So add them in. And the projects are great. And it's a really good section for showcasing some of the biggest projects that you've worked on, or maybe some notable cases that you've worked on that are particularly high profile. I remember a while back personally doing a CV for somebody who was pretty high up in the CPS, and they'd worked on a really high profile case, and we wrote a lovely case study about it. Obviously we were very careful that there was no inappropriateness or breaching of any confidentiality, all that kind of stuff, but we wrote a lovely little case study, and that went on her CV. But it also would have been a great thing to add into the project section of the LinkedIn profile. If you're going to use that project section, which I wholeheartedly recommend you do, the way to write projects is to use STAR. Now again, anybody that was on my CV writing webinar will know what I mean by STAR. STAR stands for situation, task, actions, and result. The situation describes the situation that your employer found itself in, or maybe what the problem was. The task explains how you were involved in this situation, or in what capacity you were involved. The actions are the 5 or 6 key things you did to solve this problem, and the result is the outcome. And the result's really important. Let's have a look at an example. This is something that I pulled from our marketing manager's CV. She, funnily enough, I wrote her CV about 3 years ago, and then she's ended up working for us. Here's an example. This is in STAR. So what was the situation? Well, Hanks Power Solutions had an aging product portfolio and declining sales. There is no Hanks Power Solutions, by the way. I've changed the name. But that was the problem, or the situation. What was her task? Well, she was engaged on an interim basis to create a strategy to drive sales and growth. What were her actions? Well, she acquired market research, defined new target markets and product roadmap, created a unified brand identity, led a series of new product development initiatives, utilized an environmental carbon neutral strategy to differentiate their products, and created the brand, their marketing and entry to market strategies. And the result is that she succeeded in uplifting year-on-year revenues by £2.5 million and creating a first-to-market product with a 500k turnover, which led to 2 contracts with 2 major blue chips. So that's great, isn't it? Fantastic. I probably didn't read it very well, but if you read that yourself, it's really impressive. It's powerful. That's on her CV, and it's in her LinkedIn profile. And it's powerful, and it will persuade somebody who's reading her profile to think about contacting her and hopefully subsequently employing her. Well, actually, hopefully not, because she works for us. But you would have something legal orientated on your CV, and you can put them into the project section of your LinkedIn profile. So let's show you that now. Here we go. So this appears here. Can you see that? It says projects. In fact, I'll use my drawing tool. Here. Got that? Projects. And these are all the other things that you can add to your LinkedIn profile. You click them and it pulls them across. And I think if I just get my thing back there. Oops. And there's these other things here, experience, education, photo, skills. These are all other things you can add as well. Yeah, add these things. Whichever ones are relevant to you, add them to your profile and make your profile as complete and as detailed as you can. But the project section particularly is really good. And what happens if you add a bunch of projects, they will link to the job that they relate to. So if there was a couple of projects that Suzanne had done for us, we would link those projects when we set them up to this job, and then it would say down here, hang on, it would say down here, 2 projects related to this job. And then if you click that, it'll take you through to the projects. So it's all pretty cool stuff, really. Okay, good. So, I mean, there is loads of other stuff we could talk about with LinkedIn profiles and how to write them, but we haven't got an infinite amount of time tonight. So I just wanted to kind of give you some real quick wins, things you can do that will significantly improve your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to go back to the presentation now. I'm still here, guys, just having a little bit of a technical glitch. I don't know what's happening with this tonight, but anyway, there we go. Sorry, just let me flick through. You'll all let me off, won't you? Okay, there we go. Got you back. You're all still there, hopefully. So we're going to have a quick popcorn break now. and there's loads of really good stuff to come. I'm just going to have a quick popcorn break, and I'm going to tell you about Mark from CILEx. Always twists my arm, and he says to me, right, what are you going to offer our members then? What kind of juicy special offer are you going to do them? And we're happy to oblige. So we write hundreds and hundreds of LinkedIn profiles every month. In fact, most people who buy our CV service get us to do their LinkedIn profile as well. Makes absolute sense. So we write their LinkedIn profile from scratch. If you already have one, we'll just make it much, much better. So we need to spend some time with you. So there's a kind of 1 to 2 hour interview that we do with you to extract all the raw material. And that's all about clarifying your objectives. You know, what are you using your LinkedIn profile for? Are you a job seeker? Are you using it for professional reasons? Are you using it to brand yourself personally? Are you using it for sales purposes? But what we're going to try and do is define your value proposition and your personal brand. If you're using it for corporate reasons, there might be some partners of some law firms listening in tonight who might think it's a good idea for all their senior people to have a good LinkedIn profile. I think that's a good idea. But we would make sure that we understand what you're trying to achieve and what your branding through this channel is going to be. We discuss your value-added skills and your achievements. We talk through your entire career, talk through all the stuff that goes in the summary, talk through all your jobs. Of course, before we do any work on your profile, we turn off your broadcast so that all the changes we make are private. And then we pretty much write your LinkedIn profile from scratch. So that's the service that we provide. Of course, we also write CVs, as most of you know. So we get a lot of people asking us to do either or both. If you guys stick around to the end, which I'm sure you will, we've got some really nice special offers to talk to you about. Moving away from telling you what we do and what we can offer you, this next point is absolutely critical. And it's something even I found myself falling into the trap of thinking. But I think a lot of people think LinkedIn is the be-all and end-all for networking. It's not. It is just the start of the process, okay? You develop your initial contact with the individual through LinkedIn. You connect with them. But what you want to do is to build that relationship to the extent that it goes offline, so that you're speaking to them on the phone, or you're going to meet with them for a cup of coffee, or, you know, in any other environment. Or maybe you're going to move it out of LinkedIn and you're going to exchange some emails. But the idea is that you move the relationship on so that it is now operating outside of LinkedIn, and that relationship becomes more meaningful. Ideally, in most scenarios, you want to meet with them. If they're genuinely someone who can help you, you want to meet with them. The guy I spoke about earlier, who developed a real kind of strategy from LinkedIn from a sales perspective, who made, I think, about 2 million quid for his employers through LinkedIn. His whole strategy is all about getting the audience, connecting with people, getting to know them through LinkedIn, but then moving the relationship on. And he actually runs a LinkedIn group called Great Places to Have a Cup of Coffee. But he moves the relationship on and then says, hey, why don't we go and have a cup of coffee and meet up and talk business? And that's how he operates, and he's been incredibly successful doing that. Okay, good stuff. So let's talk now a little bit more about influencing people through LinkedIn. And also, I've combined this slide with getting found on LinkedIn. One of the things you can do is use the skills section and make sure that you have added as many skills relevant to your background and profession as you possibly can. The more keywords you have on your profile, the more likely you are to come up in searches. As I've said to you previously, and I'll say again, it's the power of searching on LinkedIn that makes it such a useful and powerful tool. So it's really all about search engine optimizing your profile with keywords. Search engine optimization being something that people do in the web community. And if you've got a website, you want to search engine optimize it so you get higher up on the search rankings when people are typing keywords into Google. This is all about search engine optimizing your LinkedIn profile. So when people are searching in, typing in search terms on LinkedIn, your profile comes up. Recommendations. You know, people think writing recommendations is an awful chore, but if you write a recommendation, you then appear on that person's LinkedIn profile and you are then visible to their entire network. So the more recommendations you write, the more visible you become and the more people have access to you. So again, it's like search engine optimization. If I put a link from our website onto lots of other people's websites, there's more links coming back to us. It's the same thing. The other great thing is join groups. If you join a group, even though those people in that group might not be connected to you as a first-degree connection, because you are a member of the same group, you can interact with those people directly. Let's back up a stage. You can interact directly with all those people who are first-degree connections, i.e. those people you're connected with. You cannot interact with people who are second or third-degree connections. You can see them, but you can't interact with them directly. You have to get introduced through a first-degree connection and then connect with them directly. But that's not the same in a group. In a group, you can interact directly with anybody in that group. So if there's somebody in that group that you think might be useful to you and you want to network with them and have some kind of conversation with them, you can connect with them directly. So joining groups is a really good way of accelerating the number of people you have access to. And likewise, they can also interact with you. The other thing you can do in a group, and this is where you can influence people, you can participate in discussions and you can start your own discussions. And this is a way of building authority and becoming an influencer. And the more you participate, the more people will look on you as an expert. And it's all about developing your personal brand and your profile. Okay. LinkedIn Answers is another great area to operate as well. You can post a question into the LinkedIn Answers part of LinkedIn, and that's open for anybody on LinkedIn to see and answer. So if you post a question, anybody can answer it. But that also, you can choose to email your question to everybody in your network. And it's a really good way of interacting with people in a kind of soft, unsalesy way, getting yourself about, developing your profile and being known. But also you can answer questions. And that's another great way of developing your profile and building your authority. You should ask for recommendations. The more recommendations you have on your profile, the more likely you are to be contacted about an opportunity. Statistically, LinkedIn reckons that you're 3 times more likely to be contacted about a job or an opportunity of any other description through LinkedIn if you have good recommendations on your LinkedIn profile. And all these things, they work for whatever your LinkedIn objectives are, whether you're a job seeker, a professional, a salesperson, a company, an entrepreneur, a recruiter, a hiring manager, doesn't matter. The more of this stuff you do, the more likely opportunities are going to come your way. It is the Celestine prophecy. Okay. Now another fantastic statistic, and I love this. 85% of hiring managers will check you out on LinkedIn if you're strong enough to make their shortlist. So the point is, if you end up on someone's shortlist, 85% of those people are going to go and check you out on LinkedIn. So there's no point having a great CV and a rubbish LinkedIn profile because you're going to get caught out. You absolutely 100% need a great LinkedIn profile in the same way that we need a great website. This is your window to the outside world. If you've got a rubbish, badly put together, unimpressive LinkedIn profile, it will significantly impact your ability to get a job. And a lot of people just haven't grasped that. They think it's Facebook. You know, when we write LinkedIn profiles for people, and people don't engage us to create them a Facebook page, of course not, because no one gives a stuff about your Facebook page. But what they do give a stuff about is your LinkedIn profile, because it is your professional window to the outside world. It is as important as your CV. it is as important as a website is to us. You get it wrong, it will be of significant detriment to your job seeking chances or whatever other objectives it is that you have. So you've got to get it right. I've only just touched the surface of how you should do stuff. It takes me ages to train my CV writers to write effective LinkedIn profile. And it takes me a hell of a lot longer than I've done tonight. So there is a hell of a lot more to do it. We have literally just scratched the surface. But what I've tried to do today is to give you some quick wins. Okay, good stuff. So some other considerations for you. When you want to connect with somebody, change the default message. Don't just send the default message that says, "Hi, I'd like to add you to my LinkedIn network." It basically is you saying, "Well, I don't really give a stuff about you. I just want to get some people connected with." You need to tell them why you think it's a good idea to connect with them, and write the sort of thing you would write in an email saying, "Hi, I realize that we're part of the same group. You've contributed to a number of discussions which I found really interesting, and I wonder if you'd be happy to connect with me." That kind of a thing. But you can strategically connect with people that you think might add value to you. If you're a job seeker, that's going to be hiring managers. If you're using LinkedIn for other reasons, it might be somebody else. You can use bullet points, okay? We know how to do this. You put a little code in. So if we did your LinkedIn profile, we would use these. You just put a little code in at the start of the text, and it creates bullet points. Very neat and makes it look a lot nicer. A LinkedIn profile with bullet points looks so much nicer and so much more impressive with one that doesn't. You can also set up a vanity URL. And even I haven't done this yet. Your LinkedIn URL that people can use to look at your LinkedIn profile. It's just a bunch of characters, but you can change that. I changed Suzanne's to, it was like LinkedIn public profile / Suzanne Elster. And it looks a lot better when you've got a vanity URL. So that's another thing you can do. You can also move the sections around. I'm not going to risk going back to the damn edit profile thing because it seems to be doing strange things to my machine. But there's a little kind of up arrow button on the right hand side of each section. If you click on that, if you left click on that, you can drag the section to wherever you want it to appear in your LinkedIn profile. And what we do is we move the sections around so that they're in the optimum, the flow of information is optimized basically. Okay, good. So I'm going to do a Q&A in a minute. So start whacking your questions in the questions box. But what next? What's this special offer that Mark twisted my arm to give you guys? Well, we can write your LinkedIn profile for you from scratch. This is normally 150 quid plus VAT. It's a considerable amount of work. A lot more goes into it than what we've probably discussed today. But we need to spend some good quality time with you. It's not about writing it, to be fair. Well, it is. But it's all about finding out about you and your brand and your worth and your value proposition and your achievements and how you might add value to a future employer. Actually collecting the information and working with you to get the right information. It's a bit like the guy that I've been helping with his CV. I don't write many CVs, but this guy wanted to pay extra for me to do it for him. This is a guy who was a really senior trader in the city. And he just didn't know what he had to offer a future employer. Didn't know his value proposition, didn't know what skills he should be pushing to the market, didn't know what achievements pitched him correctly to his future employers. And it's been a bit of a battle because, some of the stuff that he talked about, he wants to get into treasury. And I felt that his CV was too sales orientated and not technical enough. And I've had to really help to shape the content of that CV. It's taken me about 2 days to do this. And it's a big undertaking. It's a big piece of work. So what we do isn't just about people filling out a form and us typing it up. We're not glorified. We're not a glorified secretarial services company here. It's all about developing people's brand through these channels. But we'll do your LinkedIn profile for you. If you've got one already, we'll redo it. If you haven't got one, we'll do it from scratch. 125 quid plus VAT, 30 quid discount. If you're interested in the CV service as well, which you all should be really. We'll do your LinkedIn profile, we'll do our professional level CV service and a cover letter for 275 plus VAT. That's an enormous £125 discount. The link to do this is here, and I'm going to put this in the chat box. So you can't click it on screen, but it's www.cvinterviewadvisors.co.uk/CILEx offer. There you go. You can actually click it in the chat box now. Hopefully I've not made a typo there. But yeah, it's just our web address /CILEx offer. And if you click that, it'll take you to a payment page and you can buy either of those services. You might have some questions. You might want to know more and know what it's all about. So just give us a call. Our telephone number is 01274 408 222. It's in the chat box. Or you can email us, info@cv and interviewadvisors.co.uk. It's in the chat box. No, it's not. I've spelt it wrong. info@cv and interview advisors. I become dyslexic at this time of the evening. advisors.co.uk. There you go. Sorry about that. There you go. And if you email us, just let us know you're on the webinar last night. You can email us to say you want to buy it. Can we contact you? You want to know more? Whatever. Just get in contact and we'll give you all the information you need. And then once you've ordered, we'll contact you to take your order and explain next steps. But we did a CV writing webinar about a month ago. Got a considerable amount of orders from that. In fact, somebody today emailed me to say the words were, the CV is already starting to reap a harvest. I thought that was really nice. I think what they were trying to say is that their new CV is significantly making an impact in the marketplace for them. So there you go. So I'm going to do the Q&A now. So I'm just going to pop the questions up on screen. Oh yes, and this offer is valid until Monday. Okay, end of play Monday. Okay, good stuff. So questions, please, guys. So what have we got here? Oh, Hettel's saying, how long is the offer valid? Yep, till Monday. Richard is saying, do you have a questionnaire you send out to help people get their brains working on such things as achievements? Yeah, with our CV writing service and our LinkedIn service, we send you what we call our guidance notes, which are legal specific, and they've got some legal examples in there. We send it to you, we talk through it with you, and then you go and do a bit of homework, and then you have the session with the CV writer. That's done out of hours if it needs to be. But yeah, you do a bit of homework, then we have the conversation. What else? Someone's saying, Matt, can you please pop up the other consideration slide again for a while? Yeah, I think so. Hang on. There you go. There you go. There you go. Lovely. Christopher's saying, Matt, I'm being charged $299 equals 50 plus 20% VAT for my CV and LinkedIn. Could I take this offer as my CV and profile hasn't been completed? What are we looking at here? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, Chris. I know that you've ordered our service or something, but it's probably best for you to give us a shout outside of the webinar. So give us a shout and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Lara's saying, Lara here, I've heard people say you have to tailor your CV for each job you apply for, but I guess your LinkedIn profile remains static. Yes, you're right. Lara, it's a great question. Yes, you do tailor your CV for each job that you apply for. And your LinkedIn profile does, by nature, need to remain a little bit generic. But I think what you do is I had this conversation with someone last night. What you can do is if you've got two strings to your bow, you kind of say that. LinkedIn isn't as structured. It's not. People don't get so cross when you do things on LinkedIn that they think you shouldn't, because there aren't so many conventions. So it's okay to have a generic LinkedIn profile that is a bit of a catch-all and then very specific targeted CVs. Even if it wasn't all right, there's nothing really else you can do, because you can't have multiple LinkedIn profiles anyway. So it's a bit of an imperfect world when it comes to that. Najma is saying, how would you advise someone to approach a LinkedIn profile who is coming back to studying and working towards a new career or moving direction? Yeah, I mean, no differently, really. You know, LinkedIn is just about telling people what's going on in your situation. So, you know, there isn't really anything different that we would talk to you about in terms of how you do it, but just the content of it would be different because it needs to reflect where you're at and what your situation is. Najma's saying, I'm going back to law after a big gap, both in studying and working. Yeah, okay, yeah, I get you, but same really applies there. Okay, any more questions, guys? I think I've got to the end of those ones. I'll see if there was any questions further up. I know a few people needed to catch up with my screen doing some odd things. No, I think I've caught all the questions that have been asked. Okay, guys. Well, if that's everything, fantastic. Thank you very much. You've been a really good bunch tonight. Really enjoyed having you on. I hope that's been useful. As I say, we've really only just scratched the surface, so it's a very deep subject. When I spoke with Jason Alber the other day, who is considered to be one of the world's leading gurus on LinkedIn. I think we know our stuff pretty well as well. But you know, he's written a whole damn book on it. So, you know, there's a lot more to learn about it. So it is a deep subject. But you know, thanks a lot, guys. I hope it was useful. It is the first time that I've done this one. So a little bit of a sort of fly by the seat of my pants tonight. Hopefully it was good. And if anybody has any questions, give me a shout and I will speak to you all soon. All right, guys, take care.